Hey guys, Magnus Robert here, bringing you another video, and this one is another event idea video. Now, of course, this is my major event. The next major event probably will be Halloween, so I'll probably do one mini event in between this one, and then I'll do my Halloween video. So there'll be one more poll in the Discord after this one airs, and that's for another mini update, but then I'm going to go straight on to doing my major update for Halloween, which I think I'm pretty excited to do, because it's been in the works for a while, and I think it definitely would make a very solid Halloween event. But that's besides the point. Today we're meant to be looking at this event. Now, obviously in the Discord, I labelled this as a World War II event, and I guess you can kind of call it loosely a World War II event, but it's more really about the Hellfish, the flying Hellfish. So I'm going to sort of more so call this a flying Hellfish update. So yeah. And I made this event a while ago, but I've recently been somewhat inspired by the Showbiz Showdown. Now you might be thinking, hang on, you hate that update. How have you been inspired by that? Well, I really do like the way that they kind of tried, at least I like the attempt, to tie in the Vindicators with stuff that obviously isn't really part of the Vindicators, because if you want to add all the Vindicators in one update, and I do think it would be better to add them all in one update, you kind of have to take from other episodes. I'm just not happy with what they took in terms of the episodes they took from. I think they should have really more lent into sort of superhero-esque stuff. And like, for example, there's like I think it's like a Spider-Man actor's retirement home that shows up in the show. Just rename that to superheroes retirement home, you know, like they've done with the Rats Court Mall and stuff. Just rename that building and add that with a character. What's wrong with that? Like with Airshot, maybe he's decided to retire, or you don't even need a reason. Like maybe he's just visiting some old superheroes. It can be as simple as that. You know, they could have taken better buildings, is what I'm trying to say. But I was inspired by that, and I think the Hellfish and the members of the Hellfish could be added in a similar way, and that's basically what I've done in this update. So, they start up as Lisa tells Grandpa that Grey Fox, a secret agent, has sold the identities of the Hellfish to a mysterious underground organisation known as The Reich Strikes Back. Grandpa is into battle mode and begins to tell Lisa a tall tale about his adventures of World War II. Lisa points out he couldn't have actually served in the war, at least not anymore, he's too young. But he ignores it. A little continuity joke. So make Lisa look at secrets and make Grandpa ramble on, and this will start the event. So the super premium character is going to be Grey Fox, who's going to be $8.99 or pounds. Now he's kind of loosely involved there in the startup, and he's going to be mentioned throughout the event, but he's always going to be this mysterious figure. And now he doesn't actually appear in the show. Now this is actually a recent episode where they very briefly mention the flying Hellfish, and it's kind of implied that maybe Grey Fox was a member of the Hellfish. Now, Grandpa later admits to Terrence, I think that's his name, the FBI dude, that he is the Grey Fox. However, Grandpa is lying. So we don't actually know if Grey Fox is even a real person. We don't know his actual identity. And I doubt they're ever going to, solve that mystery. So I figure, why not actually add Grey Fox in anyway? And how would you do this? Well, I think this is obviously McGriff, and I've just kind of covered his face up with some white blob. I think you could just kind of do this, right? Have like a black kind of trench coat, like McGriff has, and obviously the black kind of fedora or black hat. Obviously, just change this hat up a little bit, and then just kind of have this sort of white mask with a, like a kind of clothy white mask with a big question mark over it. I think that's just an awesome way to add him in the game, and I think that would work. Now, yeah, I'm basically saying reskin. It's a reskin of this dude, what's his name, McGriff the Crime Dog. Basically, it is kind of similar to the Detonator Game Master situation, but I think at least for this, they could make a very interesting little, almost tapped-out exclusive or semi-tapped-out exclusive character. Anyway, in the store for Act 1 is going to be Adolf Hitler with Hitler's car for 150 donuts. Now, I don't know if they ever will add Hitler. It's a bit of a weird one to add, obviously, because of the whole genocide thing. So I don't know if they would add him, but the show has kind of made many jokes about him. And they've added historical figures in the past. Like, they had a J. Edgar Hoover, who arguably is obviously not as bad as Hitler, but he's a pretty controversial figure in his own right. Nixon, again, another one. I mean, even like George Washington. I mean, whatever you want to say about George Washington, like the dude owned slaves and stuff. So, Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, none of those people are as bad as as Hitler, but I'm just trying to think. Like, I'm trying to justify it. I would like them to add him to the game because for this particular update, he is rather important, and I think making him premium could also be the thing that breaks them. I think they would have to make him free, like charging a price for Hitler. But who knows? This is my event anyway. This is a fantasy, so I'm doing it anyway. So this is Adolf, but EA, if you want to take this idea, you have my full permission. You can steal it. So this is Hitler, obviously with Hitler's car. Now Hitler's car obviously appears. The rich Texan owns it, and it's in his circus. I just think this is a perfect decoration to obviously come with Hitler. I want the stand as well, not just the car. I want the whole stand with the ropes and the big Hitler's car banner as well. I think we have to have the full shabam, and obviously it would come with Hitler. Now this would probably be a decoration character, but I think it's worth it nonetheless. He's kind of like Old Scratch. Anyway, Homer and Lisa are visiting Grandpa Joe and the commander, or is it the general? I think his name's the general, isn't it? The general, sorry. Joe from Red Alert. I'm just reusing those characters. They come and tell Grandpa he and his family must be taken to safety as Hitler is coming for revenge on the Hellfish. They're taken to an old, familiar vessel. So, you obviously make a bunch of characters do some tasks, and you will unlock USS World War One. I didn't come up with currency, but we can make it up as we go along. And the currency for this one will be Hellfish logos. Yeah, we'll go with that. Actually, no, it can be government secrets. There we go. And it'll just be like a little binder. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, this is USS World War One. Now, obviously there was the air carrier that came with young Grandpa Simpson, and I think the young Grandpa Simpson was taken from this segment, or at least one of the animations with riding the sharks were. But this looks nothing like the carrier that we got in the game, so I think they could probably add this separately. And obviously this will be a decoration for the water. It could be a building. Actually, you know what? No, I think it could be a building. I mean, it's a ship that hosts, like soldiers and stuff. So I think that'd be cool either or. But I feel like this Pride Track might need a building, so I might make that a building. On board, they find Burns is there with Smithers, and Grandpa and Burns have a little spat. Abe brings up that he would have killed Hitler if it wasn't for him playing tennis, and Burns says that's why they're here. Hitler is back for revenge on the attempt of his life. He wants all the Hellfish dead now. The ship is suddenly bombed by Hitler's forces, who is riding a shark now. So you make them do a bunch of tasks, and you unlock the rescue plane, which you can see right there. Now, I want this to be kind of like, it's kind of like a carrier, so I want this to be a sort of big-ish, military plane. You place it on the ground. I know we got similar planes before, but make this one a bit bigger and a bit grander, so it kind of justifies adding it. Everyone is stuck in the water, and the rescue plane is unable to find them. They're waving and all that. And Abe has a trick, though. We're going to turn those sharks against their master. So basically, he's going to turn the sharks against Hitler. This is a funny little thing. So you get the Shark-made SOS. How I kind of want this to be is you place this in the water, and there'll just be, for each letter, there will be like a kind of a random military man, like an NPC military man, riding a shark round, and it will basically be like an animation that continues. So one guy is going to be like, going around this S, another around the O, and another guy around this S, and it will be fairly big as well. You have to place it in the water. I imagine you can also you could probably place this one in the river as well, if you've got enough space. That could be cool. But yeah, just a big SOS sign. I don't know why. I think it'd be worth it. I think it'd be kind of funny. So everyone is saved, and Hitler is forced to go back to his planning, and Lisa asks Grandpa about any connections he may have, people who can help them with what's happening, who are not incompetent like Burns or Joe or the General. Abe doesn't remember, but he wants to, he wants to try and remember some old contacts. He's like, I know there's a guy in Veteran Park. So you unlock, you do some tasks, and you unlock the Veterans Park. Now, this will just be similar to the dog park that we already have in the game that we got in Dog Days. Something like that, just kind of a walled-off little closed, nice little park area. Grandpa is done wandering the Veterans Park, and he figures that he will have no help. But then suddenly, Acer Phelps emerges and tells Abe he is back from the dead. Whatever raised Hitler raised him too. Acer also mentions the other Hellfish must be out there too. So Abe dons his gear and he prepares to fight. And this will unlock Acer Phelps, who you can see right here as a full playable character. Now, you might be wondering, what about a young Grandpa and a young Burns, like their Hellfish costumes? Because we have the Hellfish costumes in the game, but of course those are the older versions of Grandpa and Burns. If you notice, it's not their younger versions, it's them as themselves, just kind of in their uniform. But I don't think it's justified enough to really add separate, because there'd have to be costumes for, you'd have to add a young Burns, and then you'd have to add that as a costume for young Grandpa. I don't think that's worth it. I think it's fine, the costumes they are. And the way that I've kind of done the prize track is that Grandpa and Burns are old, and the others have been kind of resurrected. So I think it works out nonetheless. And they can, obviously those two costumes will come back to the store. So for Act 2 in the store is going to be the Village ID with Sheldon Skinner for 150 donuts. Now, you might be thinking this is such a weird combo. There is a reason. Basically, in the Village ID, I think there's a flashback where Skinner is there with Agnes and his father. Now, obviously, Sheldon looks a tiny bit different there, but I think that's justification enough to add him in. Now, I know that this is post messed up timelines, so you might be saying it doesn't really fit, because how could he be at this bar in like the 80s if he served and died in World War II? Yes, no, you're right, it doesn't make any goddamn sense, but I think they could play with that for sure, and I think this makes a decent combo, because at least he was seen there. Anyway, Bart is in class and Skinner shows the students a war hero, his father, Sheldon Skinner, who gives the students a demonstration about how a mounted machine gun works, but he ends up getting bullied by all the kids. Grandpa, he bursts in and he tells the students that this is no loser, he is a damn war hero, and the kids just make fun of Grandpa. But anyway, you unlock this mounted machine gun, or a Browning I guess you could call it, just call it mounted machine gun, that works. But yeah, so obviously you get the little ammo box there, and when you tap it, it just fires. I think this would be pretty cool. Bart joins Grandpa, Acer, Burns, and Sheldon as they plan to track down Hitler to defeat him. Sheldon tells the party that he managed to intercept a communication between Hitler and a man selling mustache cream, and he has a location. Grandpa tells the crew they need to hunker down and wait him out. So you do some tasks and you unlock a trench. So I can't get a great picture of it, but essentially what I want them to do is add like a little trench. Now I do got something a little similar in the, what was it called? Battle Royale event, but I want this to be like a proper kind of World War II trench, so the sandbags on top, the little kind of wooden barricade here, and then obviously the actual trench itself. And what I want you to be able to do is you buy kind of one, and you get like a little strip, like a little, little square one, and maybe in this prize track it could be like 10 trenches, not just one. But yeah, so you get the little trenches and then you place another one next to it, and just like with the roads and the rivers, it just automatically connects, and you can kind of have like a little trench in there. Now these will be decorations, not tiles, but kind of like similar to a road in a sense. You can build your own little trench, and so that way you can actually kind of make your own little World War II battleground with the little trenches. You could have one on one side, another on another side, kind of like a German side, and you could take the flags as well. If you've got all the flags, you could put like an American flag on one side and the German flag on another. Obviously you're not going to have a Nazi flag, but you could put a swastika, but you could put like just the Germany flag there as well if you wanted to, and you could really build it up. Burns gets tired of all the waiting. Sheldon tells the group that the mustache cream salesman is meeting Hitler in the German castle at the moment, but he isn't there. Burns, bored, tells Smithers to send in the hired goons, which is the Vindicators. Why not? So you do all that, and you unlock there's a bunch of tasks, and you unlock the German castle, which you can see right here. Yeah, I think this could really actually be properly nicely built up. They could really build this one up and make it like a really cool looking castle. It all goes terribly wrong. Hitler gets away as the Vindicators, the Vindicators they come out of the building and they're like, we couldn't find no Hitler, he must have got away, but we've got this mole man guy, is this the one you want? The mysterious salesman shows up though, it's Herman, and his mustache cream is actually a case of priceless paintings of mustaches. So you do a bunch of tasks and you unlock the chest of priceless art. Now, yes, we actually have this decoration kind of in the game already because we have the Hellfish chest, But the difference is, I want this one to be kind of open like this, and you'll be able to see the art like in this thing. So this is kind of like a pre-thing. Plus the Hellfish one is kind of all, sunken by the sea, and there's got the Hellfish logo on the top, and it's kind of all, it looks a bit like rusted and stuff. I want this one to be kind of like the before it was sunken to the bottom of the water sort of thing. A little different, but it's kind of the same item. But I think it's worth it for the prize track. Grandpa begins to question Herman where he got those paintings from, and he says, a mysterious drunk man. Abe asks who that is, and he points to Barney. Barney says it's actually my dad, and Abe finds Arnie Gumball and asks him why he would sell the paintings, but it turns out Duff is a lot stronger now, and he was so drunk that he didn't recognize it was Hitler. Abe is still confused. Why would Hitler want these paintings? And Airshot points out they checked over their body cam videos that they have to wear now because of someone complaining about superhero brutality, and there definitely wasn't any Hitler in that building. So Abe is like, it's a trap, and he tells everyone to run. But Acer, and that's Alice Glick's little brother or big brother, whatever, he's there to save the day, and he takes the grenade. So, or takes the bomb. Anyway, you do all your tasks and you unlock Arnie Gumball. Nice. So, obviously, you noticed Acer, aka Alice Glick's brother, is going to be added too, and he's going to be added with the Museum of Suffering for 200 donuts, and this will be a Gills deal. So I want this Museum of Suffering to be pretty big. Obviously Acer was never seen there, but he's a guy who suffered quite badly considering he blew himself up with his own grenade because he held it for too long. Now you might be thinking, or if you're a Simpsons fan, you're well tuned with your minor characters, Acer served in World War One, not World War Two. This is correct. However, this isn't really a World War II event specifically, plus Gills deals tend to, sometimes they tend to be a bit separate, they tend to, stay on theme, but stray away a little bit, kind of like with the Master, for example, in the Springfield Enlightened. We got the Master, who's a Hindu, even though we've got a Buddhist event, but Hinduism and Buddhism do have some, interlocking, and there are a lot of Hindus who take on Buddhist practicing, so I think it was maybe slightly offensive, but I think it works to a degree. But so that's an example of them kind of striving away. But with the Acer, I think it makes sense. I think it's why not? And plus it adds another family member, obviously Alice Glick's brother. So Moving on, in the actual Act 3 store is going to be the Veterans of Popular Wars Hall with Milton Haas for 150 donuts. So he's kind of the dumbass of the group, I guess, but he actually turns out to be really, really smart. He kind of appears like a dumbass, but he's actually very, very smart. And I think that's something you can play on. So Abe thanks Acer, obviously we're talking about Alice Glick's Acer, not the other Acer. There's two Acers, I know, who is now in the hospital having his limbs replaced again. He says no worries, he's still confused why he's here. It's a World War II event, not a World War One event. Abe finds Milton Haas, who wants to help with the others to defeat Hitler, but Burns has taken the art and refuses to sell it to help out. He instead defends it with his life. So he's in a bunker. So you unlock this bunker here. So be a pretty cool thing to get. I was going to say you could maybe make this a building, but no, I think this probably would have to be a decoration. Abe tells the boys they need to get young Burns into shape and take back those paintings, and they launch a full assault on his little bunker. So eventually you do all your tasks and you unlock this Jeep here, this sunken Jeep, which I think would be pretty cool. So it's kind of, pretty cool Jeep, and maybe it can be like in a big mud pile as well. Marge points out they're firing their guns at an empty bunker. Burns got away an hour ago on his boat with the paintings. Grandpa tells the boys, if it's a Navy fight Burns wants, then it's what it will get. So they take a Higgins boat out to launch an attack on Burns and his boat. So you unlock this Higgins boat, or like a D-Day boat, if you want to call it that. Pretty cool. I think one of these would be pretty awesome to get, actually. And then, essentially, so they defeat Burns, but obviously they spare him, and they take the paintings to Aristotle, who is more than happy to purchase them illegally, giving the Hellfish the money they need to fund their operation. And this will, you do all your tasks, and you unlock a World War II port. So I kind of want this one to be somewhat, like, big-ish, and obviously you'd have to connect it to the beach. Yeah, and I think this one could be a building. I think it's justified, because obviously this would be where, imports and exports would come from, and rations and supplies and guns and grenades and all that. So it makes sense. There's a lot of money going through there, so it makes sense for it to earn money. And I would like it to be an actual thing that connects to the ocean, or maybe you could connect it to the squid port. That could be interesting. Or either or. But you know how the squid port, the entrance is kind of attached to the beach? I kind of want this port to be the same, essentially is what I'm trying to get at. And they use the money to hire Frink to scan the surveillance footage around Springfield, and they're able to find out where Hitler is. But Abe, he doesn't want to, they track him down, but he doesn't want to take the shot. He thinks he won't be good enough in his old age. But Milton, though, he suggests Griff. Abe, and, maybe Abe's like, where is Griff? And he's like, he's hanging at Moe's or whatever. So Abe is reunited with Griff, who he says, I'm going to take the shot at Hitler. And so it's a big, before he takes the shot, and that's where the act will end, because you unlock Griff McDonald. And yeah, the event will just kind of end before he's fired the shot. Or sorry, the act will end before he's fired the shot. Anyway, Act 4, I think this is now. 2, 3, yeah. Act 4. We're in Act 4. It's Etch Westgren with... Etched Westgren with obviously veterans of one war for 150 donuts. Yeah, obviously this is the one in Canada, and obviously Etch is meant to be from Springfield, but we'll just roll with it. So Griff fires, but he hits. He's actually got a net gun trapping Hitler instead. Abe is confused. Griff turns his gun on Abe and tells him he's sorry, but Burns paid him not to. You see, Burns wants Hitler alive for the reward money for his capture, and he's letting Griff in on the cut. Griff shoots Grandpa with a net gun, obviously, and also the other Hellfish, telling them not to try anything else. And so, even though they're all, not been shot properly, they're all like, we have to go to the hospital. So anyway, you unlock the VA hospital, obviously, for this the Veterans Affairs Hospital. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, so you get that as a building, very nice looking building. Abe and the Hellfish are treated, and no one wants to go on. No one wants to go on, but Skinner, Homer, Barney, they're all there to tell them they must continue. Hitler has been captured, and he's no longer a threat, but Burns, he's using that money, and they must be taught. He must be taught, a damn good lesson. Plus, they have enough to buy a Spitfire and destroy his one. So, they begin to attack Burns with their new Spitfires, and this will unlock the Axis Spitfire, which is right here. Very cool. Burns, he's mad. They've destroyed his Spitfire and he wants revenge, so Burns tells Griff to shoot them out the air or he'll have him killed. And Griff, he's conflicted and he shoots this Spitfire, but only for it to, he shoots it in a way where it's able to land. And Burns, this was a half-assed attempt. You should have shot the engine, but you shot the whatever, and they were able to crash land. I know who you are, Griff. You could pull off a shot like that any day. But it turns out basically Griff, he's had a change of heart and he tells Burns to get stuffed. He's saving his brothers. And so that will unlock the Ally Spitfire, which is right here. The Hellfish crash land into the, in the water or whatever. Acer, Phelps, Etch, Milton, Sheldon, Arnie, Grandpa and Homer, they're all surrounded in a sea of fire. All hope is lost. But Iggy and Clancy Wiggum, on their little police boat maybe, they come to the rescue. I know you have to illustrate this in text, but I'm just trying to visualize it as well. They fail, and they get trapped as well, because they were just incompetent. But hey, there is Griff, and Abe, forgives him, and they're saved from their ring of fire. He saves them with a boat or something, I don't know, who knows. But anyway, you do your tasks, and you unlock Iggy Wiggum as a full playable character. Obviously, this is Wiggum's father. And I know I've changed the structure a little bit, but just so it makes sense for this one. So they storm Burns' manor, looking to put him in his place, but Burns is not there. It's another trap. Burns comes through a little TV and he tells them he will be the last Hellfish, and they're all planned to die. So there's a big explosion, but Acer, that's right, Alice Glick's brother, he's back once more, and he's able to... he's not able to save everyone else, but he's able to save Grandpa and Homer at least, while the others die for, saving their lives. So all the Hellfish are dead, including Acer, and obviously you unlock the Hellfish graves. Now, we've got the monument in the game already, which is right here, but I kind of want the graves. A big line of graves with all of their names on it. It sounds silly, but I think it could be actually really, really cool. So we have like Acer Phelps, Griff McDonald, Milton Haas, Etch Winston, whatever his name is. Just have all their names on there, and maybe you could even have like Burns and Grandpa, and it's just like not there anymore. Now, in terms of dates, it's kind of tricky, but we know that Milton Haas died pretty much after they left the castle. I'm pretty sure he died right after the castle, and everyone else died, I think, in like a... What was it again? It was like not soon. It was very soon after, leaving just Acer, Burns, and Grandpa alive. Acer Phelps, that is. So really, they could just kind of put Acer Phelps as anything, really, or they could just put him as like, the world, like a few years after, or they could just put him the date this episode come out, in terms of the dates on the graves. But it's not really a big deal. I just think this row of graves could just be a nice little addition with the Hellfish monument, and maybe they could actually leave like a big space in between these two. Obviously, you couldn't place it in front of it, on top of it, but you can maybe place it like behind it, so it works out like it does in the episode. And then the epilogue is Burns thinks he's got away scot-free, but it turns out all the Hellfish respawned. This is a game after all, and with the help of Wiggum's son, he's in jail along with Hitler. So you make Grandpa celebrate the Hellfish, and make Homer be proud for once of his father, and make Burns go to jail, and that's the end of the event. So, yeah. I think it works out. There's enough of the Hellfish to have like a perfect kind of, it's literally the same amount as Vindicators as Hellfish, so I think, actually, more, actually. But I think it works out. I think they definitely could make a really cool little World War II / Hellfish update here. And having Hitler kind of be the main villain obviously makes sense. And it's kind of almost a bit like Old Scratch as well. That's kind of where I was inspired with my involvement with Hitler. Anyway, so for Grey Fox, we've got Leaked Government Secrets for 60 minutes. So this will be him. He'll be stood there with a little binders that maybe say Top Secret on it. And he's just there like, chucking them out to the crowds of people. Talk with his Russian employers for 4 hours. That could be anywhere, the Brown House, I guess. Spy on the US government for 8 hours. This could be at any government building, town hall, capitol, whatever. Troll MI5 for 12 hours. This will be at any... This could be at any British building, to be honest, if you've got any British buildings. If not, just the Brown House will do. And then hack in donuts for 24 hours. So, yeah, I kind of want to have this almost like meta little thing where he's like... Grey Fox is like, I have some. I don't just have secrets about the secrets about the US government that I'm selling to the Russians. I also have secrets about EA and how to get donuts. And so I kind of want like a little meta task, 24-hour task. And then he's got like a drill, and he's just drilling the road. And then as he's drilling it, a bunch of like, donuts are just flying out of the road, and you'll earn essentially 6 donuts each time you do this task. So essentially 6 donuts every 24 hours. And maybe that's a bit too nice, but he is a super premium character, so I think that somewhat makes him worth it. Plus, it'd make him like a very special character. And seeing as he's meant to be this secret agent and stuff, and not really a hacker necessarily, but you could always tie that into his persona, because we don't know anything about him. I think that could be kind of cool, just have him drilling donuts. For Hitler, we have Avoid Sniper Fire for 60 minutes. So this is him, he's going to be like looking like concerned. A bullet will like kind of shoot his hat, and his hat will spin, and he'll be like, holding it like scared. He'll crouch down, another shot will fire, and he'll kind of dodge it, dodge out the way sort of thing. Fix up his car for 4 hours. That will be obviously his car. Try and fail to win another war for 8 hours. This will be at I guess his car. Pretend he's an ally for 12 hours. So this will be him. He'll have like a US flag, and he'll be flying it, and he'll have like just American stuff, kind of like the All-American Harpoo, sort of that kind of thing, like overly patriotic to American, and then go to jail for 24 hours. Obviously, that will be in jail. Or the penitentiary, I should say. For Acer Phelps, we have Think the War is Still On for 60 minutes. So this will be the Veterans Park, and he'll be hiding, like camouflage. He'll be in like camo. He'll be in like one of the bushes, basically, and he'll poke out, like looking left and right. And he's got his gun maybe out as well, and he's pointing his gun, and then he kind of jumps back in the bush. Sell his weapons for 4 hours. This could be a Herman's, to be honest. Try to be remembered for something else for 8 hours. This could be anywhere, Town Hall. Cement a US victory for 12 hours. So this will basically just be him. Could be anywhere really, just on the road, putting up like a US flag, like that, famous photo where they put up the flag. So that would just be him. He's got a big flag and he's just kind of putting it up, and then maybe it could fall over and he puts it back up again and again. And seek veteran benefits for 24 hours. This could be at the town hall. For Sheldon, we've got get bullied for 60 minutes. So this will be him basically. Maybe a random NPC soldier can just put this on his back, and then he'll be looking, looking, and he can't really reach it. But eventually he's able to reach it. He tears it up, puts it in a kind of ball, and throws it on the floor. And then that little NPC soldier will come back, slap it on his back, and repeat. Give a talk to the elementary kids for 4 hours. This will be at the school. Listen to enemy communications for 8 hours. This will be at the anywhere really, I guess. Brown House. Set up communications for 12 hours. So this will be him basically setting up like a big radio, like a little radio thing in his. So he's got his little back, the thing on his back. He'll just be like pulling up a bigger antennae. Maybe he's kind of got like a little phone that's on a wire, and he'll just be like beep boop beep boop, kind of setting that up. And then restart his marriage for 24 hours. I kind of want this as like a little thing where him and Agnes are at the village ID again. Kind of like almost restarting, just like how Skinner kind of restarts that. In that time, that awful Principal and the Pauper episode, where they kind of like have that little special moment at the end where like, let's just pretend you're my son, and I kind of wanted to take from that and let's pretend that we're restarting our marriage sort of thing, and they actually met at the village ID. I know that we don't know that for sure, but they could tie it in. For Arnie Gumball, we have drink helmet beer for 60 minutes. Quite simply, he's going to be drinking beer from his helmet and burping and maybe falling over. Retake his tank driving license for 4 hours. This could be at the DMV. Scare the Germans with his breath for 8 hours. This could be at the German castle or any sort of really, or it could just be anywhere at the Brown House or anything. Invent the Molotov cocktail for 12 hours. So this will be him. He'll be drinking, some vodka. He's ran out of beer, so he's drinking vodka. And, maybe he's like wiping his face, and then he shoves it in there, lights it up. Basically, I want to have this little joke where he says he invented the Molotov cocktail, and then try to join high society for 24 hours. That could be any restaurant really, because he says that in the episode that he wants to be a part of high society. And then for Acer, aka they could call him Acer Glick, but obviously because she's Mrs. Glick, it's implied that she married into that name. But they could always call him Acer Glick, and just because we're probably never going to ever meet Alice Glick's husband anyway, so they could just call him Acer Glick, I don't know. Hold grenades for too long for 60 minutes, so pretty simply, he's going to be pulling the pin on a grenade, it's going to be blowing up, he's kind of, he'll be like all kind of black and tarred from the grenade fire, and then he'll wipe his face and carry on. Visit his sister for 4 hours, so this will be at Glick's house, Mrs. Glick's house if you own it. If not, it will just be the Brown House. Apply for retraining for 8 hours. That could be at any sort of military base or just in general, anyway, really. Try on new legs for 12 hours. So, he's going to have like little prosthetics legs. So he's going to take off the legs and try new legs. And maybe there could be some funny little, like one with high heels on or something. I don't know. Something like that. And then be Exhibit A for suffering. That will be at the Museum of Suffering that he comes with. For Milton Has, we have lift injured troops to safety for 60 minutes. So this is going to be him. There'll be two little NPC, soldiers, and he'll have like one on his back, one under his arm, one hooked over his shoulder, one under his arm, and he'll just be kind of carrying them, to safety, looking like a beast. Give a speech to veterans for 4 hours. That will be at the hall that he comes with. Fix up vehicles for 8 hours. That will be any vehicle really. Do some light reading for 12 hours. So this will be him, and I kind of want him to have like whatever the biggest books are. What are like some of the biggest books? So like the Bible maybe, I guess, or maybe you could have like like some like heavy poetry or like heavy philosophy books, something like that. He's like really, like I don't know, like the Communist Manifesto maybe, I don't know. He's like some heavy reading, some very boring lengthy books, and he's just there reading them quite happily. And then win quiz shows for 24 hours. That will be at any studio, I guess. Could be Crystal Studios, Channel 6 maybe. For Griff, we've got clean his rifle for 60 minutes. Quite simply, he'll be, polishing his rifle, but also not just doing that. He'll like take it apart. Maybe he'll like clean the barrel with like a little brush thing. I want it to be somewhat complex. Fall asleep whilst on watch for 4 hours. That will be any What does he? What price track does he come in? That could be at the bunker actually. Yeah, that could be at a bunker. Fall asleep while he's on watch at the bunker. Wait for an enemy to show up for 8 hours. Again, that could be the bunker. Test his accuracy for 12 hours. So there'll be like a little target practice, and he'll just be pew, pew, you know, shooting it. And each time you can kind of like see that he's hitting it like, right in the middle, and then repent for his treason for 24 hours. His treason's actually going to be falling asleep, because that actually was technically like a form of you couldn't fall asleep whilst on watch. That you could be punished to death for that during World War II. Yeah, I kind of want that as a little way of. I made him like treasonous in the quest line, but we don't really know anything about the dude. I just kind of changed it because he kind of looks. I don't know. He was a sniper, so I was basing it on that. Anyway, moving on. Etch, we've got write war poetry for 60 minutes. Quite simply, he's going to be writing poetry. Like he is there, and maybe actually as like a fun little thing that like a grenade could get thrown, and he kind of, you know, he stops when he's writing, and he just looks at it and like throws it away, and there could be like a little explosion behind him or something. You know, make the animation a little bit more complex. Read his poetry for 4 hours. That will be at the hall that he comes with. Sue for copyright for 8 hours. That'll be at the courthouse. Try out the flamethrower for 12 hours. So this will be him, you know, trying out a flamethrower basically. You know, pouring it around, going around Springfield with a flamethrower. And listen to other veterans for 24 hours. That'll be at the hall that he comes with. The whole copyright thing, by the way, is basically because he's been dead, someone's taken his poem and, you know, made money from it, and he's mad. And then for Iggy Wiggum, accidentally set off grenades for 60 minutes. So this will be him with his backpack, and then he'll be like, and, you know, he'll get on his knees, and then his backpack will explode and be on fire, like there. Help his son at on the force for 4 hours. This will be him and Wiggum, obviously at the police station. Defend the rations with his life for 8 hours. This will be at any bunker, I guess, or the trench maybe. Eat bacon off a rifle for 12 hours. So quite simply, there'll be some bacon wrapped around the end of a rifle, and he'll just be eating it off it. And maybe he can fire it, and his hat will, you know, fly off, fly off and land on his head. And then steal rations for 24 hours. This will be at the trench, any trench, I guess, or anything really, whatever. Anyway, that's my tasks and animations for the characters. So yeah, let me know what you thought about this little event idea. I think it definitely could work. I kind of like the idea of adding all the Hellfish, and yeah, I tried my best to kind of keep it with just World War II stuff, because I could have quite simply, you know, added like Fort Springfield and all the other forts that we've seen in the game, but I tried my best to kind of keep it to veterans and World War II stuff. Obviously here and there with the combos, I've obviously had to be, play a little bit fast and loose, but there isn't too many buildings to be added from, World War II era, so that makes it a bit tricky. But let me know what you thought about it, and I shall see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.